I want to start this video a little bit differently today because this one has a really specific reason behind it. I've got a new client and she's been going through one of the most emotionally and financially overwhelming experiences that a woman can go through. She's separating from her husband of over 30 years, and in the middle of all this emotional turmoil, the grief, the uncertainty, the upheaval, the arguments, she has one particular fear that sits above all else. How will she be able to afford a home anything like the kind of one that she's in at the moment? How will she, on her own, with everything up in the air, create the kind of life and the kind of space that she deserves at her time of life? And when she shared that with me, I felt a really deep pang in my heart, because I know that fear. I know that feeling. I've lived that fear. I've sat inside that fear in the middle of winter in a tiny annex above a garage with unfinished floors and a wood-burning stove to keep me warm, wondering the exact same thing. And so I said to her, I'm going to make a video just for you. I'm going to leave absolutely no stone unturned. I'm going to give you everything, every detail, every decision, every moment of doubt, and every moment of unshakable knowing, because I want you to have complete clarity on what's possible, not theoretical possible, actual possible, real possible, because I've lived it. And everyone else watching, whether you're going through a separation, a transition, reinvention, or simply standing at the beginning of a dream that feels too big to be true for your current circumstances, this one is for you. Because I believe what I'm about to share changed my life completely, and I believe that it can change yours too. So let me take you back to the very, very beginning. I want to start by painting a really honest picture about where I was when all of this began. I was self-employed. In fact, I just closed my jewelry shop, which, as any one of my clients who are self-employed will know, means that when it comes to getting a mortgage, the banks are less likely to loan. It doesn't matter how capable you are, how successful you are in your business, or how clear your vision is. Without that regular pay slip, they tend to not want to lend you money. And so a mortgage was completely off the table for me. And to be honest with you, I didn't really want one anyway, not at my age. But my budget was extremely tight. And yet I knew with absolute clarity what I wanted. Not approximately, not roughly. Not, yeah, it would be nice to have. I knew exactly what I wanted. And so I did what I always do, what I teach my clients to do, what I know without a shadow of a doubt works time and time and time again. I made a list. And not just any list. A detailed, specific, unapologetic list, written not from a place of hoping or wishing, written from a place of absolute certainty that what I was asking for was already on its way. And I want to share that list with you now, because I think when you hear it, given where I was starting from, you will understand why everyone around me thought I had completely lost the plot. And to my client watching this, I want you to pay particular attention, because what felt impossible from where I was standing looked very much like where you're standing right now. And I want you to see what happened anyway, regardless of where you are. So here's exactly what I asked the universe to deliver. A larger than average 2-bedroom property with amazing water views and ideally far distant views. Overlooking a yacht-filled marina would be ideal, because I really wanted to watch yachts floating by. An open plan kitchen, dining, lounge room with enough space to comfortably practice yoga. Large windows to flood the space with light. A spacious outdoor area to catch the afternoon sun whilst admiring the view, an ensuite for privacy, plus a main bathroom for visitors, close enough to the city to feel as though I'm part of something bigger than myself. Scope to completely renovate to create a beautiful, comfortable, and deeply satisfying environment that would also add value as an asset. And here's the part that made people raise their eyebrows. I wanted, ideally, to live in a penthouse. I specified a dual aspect kitchen and lounge that took full advantage of those water views. And while the space needed to be open plan, there had to be a visual separation between the lounge room and the kitchen. A sense of distinct zones within the openness. And because I work from home, Because this is where I record, where I write, where I create, I needed a dedicated space for my computer setup, for my podcast recordings, my equipment, my library. I knew I couldn't specify a third bedroom. That would be taking the property completely out of my budget. But I knew what I needed on a much deeper level than, I guess, just architecture. I needed a boundary that would allow my nervous system to separate creation from rest, focus from leisure, ambition from restoration. Because when you eat, sleep, relax, and work all in the same space, something in you never fully switches off. And something in you never fully switches on either. I needed that separation, and I put it on the list. And here's something I want you to absolutely absorb, especially if you're in the middle of a transition right now, and maybe everything feels chaotic and uncertain. I did not write that list from a place of security. I did not write it from a place of financial comfort or certainty or knowing exactly how it was all going to work out for me, how it was going to unfold. I wrote it from a place of complete and utter uncertainty, but trust. Trust that what I could clearly imagine I could have. Trust that the universe is not working from my bank balance. Trust that specificity is not arrogance, it's clarity. And trust that clarity is the language the universe responds to most powerfully. So for over 18 months, I watched the market daily. I was waiting because my girls were transitioning from school into university. So I had a little bit of time. And during this time, I was checking the listings, viewing properties, staying curious and open to all possibilities. And for over 18 months, nothing came close. I mean, not even remotely close. And do you know what I did not do during those 18 months? I did not panic. I did not lower my expectations. I did not cross anything off my list and tell myself to be more realistic. Because here is what I do know, what I share with my clients constantly. The moment you start editing your vision out of fear, you're no longer manifesting what you want. You're manifesting through doubt. And I refuse to manifest my doubt. My friends told me to adjust my expectations. Estate agents had told me to adjust my expectations. The market on paper informed me to adjust my expectations. But I smiled and I said, thank you, but no thank you. And I went home and I looked at my list again and I just repeated it again in my mind. I also continued to view other properties during this time. Properties that offered some of what I wanted, but not everything. And every single time I walked through a door, I felt that quiet internal no, and I honored it. I did not talk myself into something that wasn't right simply because I was able to afford it, even though everyone said I should be grateful for it. Settling is not gratitude. Settling is fear dressed up as practicality. And I was done with fear because I also knew something else. I wasn't yet in a position to move anyway. The time wasn't right. So I did have a bit of time. And manifestation, real manifestation, understands timing in a way that our logical minds simply cannot always compute. So I remained patient and I remained positive. I kept watching. And then finally, the family home sold. Suddenly it was time for me to make some really big decisions. And if I wanted to be in the strongest possible position for me as a buyer, as a cash buyer, which, you know, in the property market is an extraordinary position to put yourself in, I needed to be absolutely ruthlessly strategic with myself. I knew that renting would drain my budget. Every month in a rental was money leaving my hands that should go towards my future home. And the stress and time constraints of renting whilst trying to buy, I knew that energy would not serve me in the best way possible. So I asked my soon-to-be ex-husband, and I want to be absolutely clear, that our divorce was very amicable, and I'm really, really grateful for that. I asked him if I could move into the annex above his garage of the new property that he was buying. Now, I want you to picture this for a moment. It's a tiny space. It had a shower ensuite, which was tiny, and often the hot water didn't work. Unfinished floors, wood burning stove, that was the only source of heating in the middle of a freezing cold winter. And I still said yes, absolutely yes, because I knew what it was for. It wasn't a step backward. It wasn't failure. It wasn't something to be embarrassed about. It was a strategy, a deliberate, clear-eyed, faith-filled strategy that placed me in the most powerful position possible to receive what I had been asking for. And for those wanting to manifest something truly life-changing like a property, I want you to hear this particular part very carefully, because I know that in the middle of separation, every decision feels loaded. Every compromise feels like loss. Every step that doesn't look like forward momentum can feel devastating. But sometimes the things that look the least like your dream is the very things that will deliver it. That cold, stripped back bare, freezing cold annex in the middle of winter was not a detour from my manifestation. It was part of it. Now, I also want to clarify something really important. I categorically do not believe it was the universe saying, "Are you serious about this? Are you willing to be uncomfortable for a season in order to receive everything that you've asked for?" It wasn't about the universe testing me. I know most manifestation coaches tell you the universe is testing you. But I'm telling you for a fact, after spending years studying it, the universe is not testing you because the universe always says yes. It's just about energy. I had completely emptied the vessel. As much space, my psychological, my emotional, my physical, my financial space, therefore my energetic space for manifestation to arrive. I say this over and over again. The universe is not testing you. It just doesn't like voids of energy. And there must be transitions of energy working in the background to make things happen in your 3D reality. Now, on top of that, I will say this. If your energetic alignment is not at the same level as your desired outcome, your outcome's up here, but you're down here, then you will have to go through steps to get there. And that's what I teach in my 8-stage manifestation framework called Mapping Manifestation. And don't get me wrong, that up-leveling process can feel like the universe is testing you, but I've explained why this happens in another video. But essentially, I was putting myself in a position to receive. And there must be a transition of energy working in the background to make these things happen so it happens in your 3D reality. The universe didn't ask me to put myself in an uncomfortable position. I did it to release all hold or grip on my reality. And so it was my willingness to say yes to that. That was one of the most powerful acts of manifestation preparation that there is. As soon as I made that decision, and I'm talking about it was 5 weeks before the removalists were arriving to move everything out of the family home and into storage. And by the way, I didn't even know how long that would be. So 5 weeks before I was due to be living with only the very bare essentials in a little tiny annex, something amazing happened. An apartment appeared on the market, and I knew before I had even seen it in person, before I had stepped through that door, before I had stood on that balcony and felt that view hit me in my chest. I knew because it matched every single thing on my list, every single request. My offer was accepted immediately, and then because properties in the UK involve what can only be described as a very spectacularly convoluted legal wrangling time, it took 6 months to then finally get the keys. 6 months. And do you know what I did in those 6 months? I didn't resist it. I didn't spend 6 months anxious and frustrated, asking the universe, why is it taking so long? I spent 6 months preparing for the life I had already claimed. I used that 6 months to prepare myself, to design my kitchen. I ordered my wardrobe. I chose my flooring and heating. I found tradespeople and I organized every single detail of the renovation I had always planned. I used that time because here is what I know about the gap between manifestation and actually receiving it in your 3D reality. It is not empty time or space. It is a sacred time. It's a sacred space. It is the universe doing its work while you're doing yours and being patient. The energy hold in that gap determines everything. Hold the faith in that gap. Hold the vision in that gap. Hold the feeling of everything going your way and watch what happens. And then the day came. I turned the key and walked into my penthouse apartment. To one side, breathtaking views across the bay. Water as far as the eye could see, scattered with masts of yachts catching the light. To the other, the city, the river, and beyond it, the distance, lush rolling hills fading into the horizon. I can even see a castle. Walking into the kitchen just lit up by a golden glow from the morning light that floods through the floor-to-ceiling windows. And in the afternoon, that same golden warmth moving across the other side of my apartment to bathe the lounge and the balcony in this most extraordinary golden glow. The dual aspect that I'd asked for, exactly as I had imagined it. And then, as if everything I have just described wasn't already more than enough. As I entered the front door during my very first viewing with my estate agent, to my surprise, I discovered that this apartment within a gated high-rise community was one of only a few apartments in the entire estate to have an additional room. Not a full bedroom, a 3/4 room, perfectly, and I mean perfectly sized to become exactly what I had described in my list 18 months earlier. A comfortable study, a library, a dedicated space for my desk and my recording equipment, bathed in light from another floor-to-ceiling window. The room that I had not been able to formally specify, the room that existed in my nervous system before it existed anywhere else. The universe had included it anyway. It knew. And the timing, the completion date fitted neatly around a business trip that I had already planned, which meant that I saved money in accommodation as well, which also meant I found extraordinary deals in everything needed for the renovation, which meant the entire process from that cold annex to those penthouse keys unfolded without a single moment of significant stress. I am sitting here right now as I record this video in my penthouse apartment. And here is the view from my kitchen and dining room. There are expansive water views and city views from both the bedroom. I literally sit up in my bed at night or in the morning and admire how amazing the views are. And when I show people, they just can't believe it. As regards to the place where I could work, which was one of my main concerns, the universe quietly slipped a study into the floor plan when nobody was looking. It could actually be closed off to make a third bedroom, but I prefer to just keep it open anyway. Oh, and by the way, this manifestation was completely different to how I manifested our family home. That's the home before this apartment, but that's for another video, so keep your eye out for that. So to all of you watching this, I hope that you have just seen yourself in every single part or element of this story. The fear, the uncertainty, the impossible feeling, the restrictions, the list, the uncomfortable bridge, the waiting, and the moment the keys turned. And everything you dare to believe in is available for you right now. It's coming for you now. I'm sharing this not to impress you, but to show you with every detail laid bare what becomes possible when you refuse to let fear and other people's opinions influence your vision. What I will also do is another video to break down exactly what I did so that you are absolutely crystal clear on what I did. So let me leave you with what I know to be true about this experience, what I share with my clients, what I want you to carry with you from this day forward. First, be specific. Vague intentions create vague results. The universe is not confused by detail. It is activated by it. Write your list. Make it specific. Make it unapologetic. Do not water it down because your current circumstances or people around you suggest that you should. Second, refuse to edit out of fear. Every time someone told me to lower my expectations, they were projecting their own limitations onto my vision. Your vision belongs to you. Protect it fiercely. Third, understand that timing is part of the plan. 6 months waiting for keys, 18 months watching the market. None of that was wasted time. All of it was preparation. Trust the timing, even when, especially when, you can't see it yet. 4, the bridge will not always look like what you expect. The garage annex in winter was my choice, but that was my bridge. It was unglamorous, it was cold, yet it was completely purposeful. Whatever your bridge looks like right now, trust it. Say yes to it. It is taking you somewhere extraordinary and probably in the direction of where you want to go. And 5, ask for everything. Not the watered down version, not the realistic version, not the version you think that you can get given your current circumstances. Everything. Because the universe is not working from your bank balance. It's working from your identity of who you are. Now, if something in you recognized something in this journey, in this story, and you feel like it resonated, then I really want to hear from you. So please do leave your comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Tell me what it is that you're manifesting and how I might be able to help you. Tell me where you are in your journey. Tell me what your list looks like. I'd love to know. And if you're working with a vision right now that feels too big, too specific, too out of your reach, too unrealistic given your current circumstances, good. That feeling is not a warning. That feeling is a sign that you are thinking at exactly the right level. The universe is not working from your bank balance. It's working from your identity. Be that person now and it will happen. And if you're interested to improve how you manifest, I mentor one-to-one a small number of amazing people from all around the world, including a billionaire. So feel free to reach out. The details are below.